Okay, everybody, what's up? Just before I get started, I'm just going to do a quick sound check to make sure everything is good with the live stream. This is the first time I've done live stream on this channel, so I'm kind of expecting some teething issues, maybe. I don't know. But we're bound to find out any second. So if you just bear with me for a second, just while I do a sound check and figure out exactly what is going on with everything here. And then once we're done with that, we will know for sure that we're all good. So just 1 second. Okay, so just doing a quick sound check. Okay, so sound check is good. Here we go. So what is there to say apart from in the last sort of 24 hours we've learnt that the body of Nicola Bulley has been found in the River Wyre, and it's pretty sad news. Seeming a lot of the, what should I say, the sleuth community is believed that she was still alive and she was well and she would be found alive, and the police even thought that she would be found alive, which then again brought further speculation about what's happened to her and whether she has entered that river accidentally or not. But as of yesterday, it's apparent that she has actually entered that river accidentally. How she's entered that river accidentally is another question. Whether it be by total accident, i.e. slipping into the river and drowning, or two, being placed in that river by malicious intent, or whether she has again had another accident which has caused her to be accidentally in the waters of the River Wyre. Nevertheless, this live stream is totally in favour of trying to bring that speculation that the police hate so much and the family hates so much into some sort of a valid truth that people can understand. Because let's face it, we're in the year 2023 and it's very, very rare that, and very, very difficult that anybody can go missing and go missing without a single trace to what's happened. So in this live stream, I just want to cover a few things, like a couple of videos that have come to light. What I will not be showing today on this live stream is the actual video footage of her being removed from the river, which has been widely spread over YouTube and TikTok and things like that, because I'm not going to do that. And I think, but as far as I'm aware, it appears to me that the video from YouTube that has been uploaded has actually been removed, but the owner of that video is still very much active. And we're going to go through one of the videos that he's actually uploaded in the last sort of 6 hours from now, about the whole case, and we'll talk about that as we go through the video. So just going to that video anyway. We're just gonna play it, and we'll probably stop at certain points through the video, pick up on our thoughts about that, and if anybody's got any input, please put it in the live chat and or into the comments.
Back to another video here at St Michael's. Today is a little bit different. I'm going to be playing random clips that I haven't used before. Some of them I have used before. It's more of a background, really. Obviously, that's where she apparently went in, where Nicola went in the river just there.
All right, so let's just stop here straight away. So she's entered the river here. And what we do know is that this river water here is approximately 4.5 to 5 feet deep, with approximately 1 foot of silt, i.e. riverbed at the bottom of the river. And from what we know she was wearing somewhat like a winter knee-length puffer North Face black jacket, which could easily fill with water and weigh you down, but she was wearing skinny jeans and boots. I'm not sure about that.
Basically, just going to have a little chat about thoughts on yesterday's tragic news. So, obviously, there's a lot of speculation already. I've read comments on different videos. I've seen comments on my own videos. People saying they think that perhaps she was put in the river there recently rather than falling in the river or going in herself 3 weeks back. Now, personally, I would have to agree with that, but obviously it's speculation, and the police will be doing their post-mortem, and we'll see what they say about that. In the meantime, I just think it's worth pointing out a few things. Now, that's the ground, which was freshly dug right near the bench, actually, that is. And obviously it doesn't really matter now, but at the time the police said to me, what do I think? And I pointed to that and I said, well, how come you guys are not, doing more searching and stuff? And he said, well, she's in the river, isn't she? So
she's in the river. So based on the original thoughts that the police had was that she has entered the river accidentally. So be it. She's the police are probably right, but at the same time, it's a little bit suspect that the police have not found her any time sooner than 3 weeks. Makes no sense to me. We're going to bring that up with a simulated Google Maps scene just in a moment to sort of get everybody's head around that whole situation. So,
and that told me basically that they'd kind of given up looking that deeply. But anyway, so people talking about the police not doing their job, people talking about the police not looking in the river at that place, and why didn't they find her? It's a very good question.
So it's a very good question, because from what we've seen on the news and up until even I think 4 days before they stopped searching this part of the river, before they decided to suddenly, out of the blue, just decide to search the river again on Sunday morning. What we do know is that police dive teams and professional private dive teams have used sonar and radar equipment on what we would call a rubber dinghy. Actually a ribbed inflatable boat with the equipment attached to it. And what they've done is actually go down the centre of the river. However, the current of the river is very, very much likely to be at the sides of the river, which is one of the reasons why river banks erode, and not why rivers get deeper. And that is just the way it has been ever since the earth existed. Rivers meander for a certain reason, and the whole reason for that is because the river current is usually against the river banks. So just keep that in your mind.
So you're going to be showing the Wyre in a moment, and it's a little bit high, the river, in this video. You can.
So this guy mentioned, and I'd just like to say, this video was taken today. today, i.e. the 21st of February 2023. And he said the river is higher than normal because this guy has been sleuthing it the whole frigging time around this whole area, taking videos of the entire scene for weeks on end, and suddenly only today this river is high. With all due respect, I would jump in that river and be able to save myself, and I would also be able to jump in that river just for fun. However, the temperature of the water may have been very different when Nicola entered that water. Let's just say, hypothetically, she entered the water the day she was reported missing, which means that that water was only 2 to 3 degrees. And if she fell into a deep part with her boots and the what she was wearing, that was to succumb to water very quickly. And with the shock of the cold water, unless you're trained to deal with that, you will quickly be shocked by the cold water, which in many cases cold water does lead to unfortunate drowning and death.
You can see the Wyre, and you'll see how fast flowing it is over the Wyre and near the Wyre. Now, 300 or 400 yards before the Wyre is the bench, and then 3/4 of a mile after the Wyre is where she was found. Now,
here we go. So this is my concern personally, is that if she was to have entered the water accidentally, unconscious, or even dead or alive, it makes no difference. I don't believe that at any time within the first 2 to 3 days of her being reported missing, a dead body, first of all, is going to pass this Wyre. A body floating after nature has taken its way, so to speak, to allow that body to float by the gases that are built inside the body after you've died, doesn't take place until 7 to 10 to 12 days maximum when you're inside water. And because of the blunt edge of the lip of that Wyre, there's no chance. And please just understand the weight of the water that is behind that Wyre would absolutely pin that body, dead or alive, floating or sunk, to that Wyre, and there is no way that a body will pass this point of the river. So in my mind, she has to physically have entered that river after this point. And can I just say, they have fished out dead animals and badgers, logs, like heavy logs, which are much more heavier than Nicola's body, and they have been emptied out of that river, that river Wyre, even in the last couple of weeks in the attempt of the search, and it showed nothing.
just past the Wyre, just past there, the water slows right down again, and it's very, very calm and barely moving. Okay, so I do find it hard to believe that Nicola was between here and where she was found
At the bench.
and she hasn't been seen for that 3 weeks, considering hundreds of people have been walking up and down that stretch of river looking. I myself actually turned up the first
Absolutely.
day here, and
Absolutely.
the first day I turned up was the day that they called off the search initially before the Wyre, and they announced they were then going to be looking after the Wyre on the tidal part of the river. So what I did that day...
So he just mentioned the tidal part of the river. So the tidal part of the river is basically the be-all, end-all at the Wyre. Because tidal river water will not surpass that Wyre. It will never come even halfway up to that Wyre. High tide, low tide makes no difference. low tide, high tide happens 24 hours a day, and yet people in their hundreds, people that work for the police service within the hundreds, and private search teams, even social media sleuths as well, have been searching, and you cannot honestly tell me that even if she has passed that Wyre, a body has been found or not within the last 3 weeks. It's not possible.
Is I looked down the stream to try and get some videos of these police officers in the river, right? That was the idea. Now, I went directly past that location where Nicola's been found. And apart from thinking to myself it was a little bit spooky there and a little bit hidden, there were no policemen there. The area was completely deserted. And that road weaves in and out of the countryside, but it more or less follows the river, give or take, down to a bridge which is about 4 or 5 miles away. And even down there, I got out the car numerous times down on that journey, went up to the riverbank to have a look, to try and get some videos of these police divers, and there were none to be seen. And then since that day, I've been up there 4 more times to take videos and stuff, and I haven't seen any police down that part of the river where she was found.
I'm going to pause the video here. So he's just walked down from the bench, down the River Wyre, towards the location where the body was found. And as we can see, there is a lot of fallen debris into the river here. And the water is very calm. So beyond that point, to the left of the video screen, will be the actual current of water. But because it meanders round to the left hand side from this video, the natural flotation, it doesn't actually matter whether you're sunken or floating. There is absolutely no physical way that you're going to actually pass this point here at this point in time with that amount of debris in the water, which is filtering other debris in the water, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying they haven't been there, but I haven't seen them in that time. I even asked one of the police, I said, where are the divers? Because I'd like to go down there and get a video of them in the water. And he said, I don't know where they are. I believe they're at the estuary. Do we think perhaps they skipped that area and they just presumed, oh, well, you know, if Nicola's gone over the Wyre, she must have gone right downstream. Do we think they missed that area completely? I don't know. Personally, like a lot of people, I still think something untoward has happened here and suspicious. But without speculating anymore, we'll wait for the results to come out. Now,
so this is the thing that the family and the police hate so much, is the word speculation. And yet speculation is just nothing but a completely normal thing for people to do. And I believe that if the police were more transparent in the facts that they had from day one of her disappearance, there would have been less speculation. Without crossing the lines of her personal life, there was more information to have been allowed to prevent people from speculating. But this is what humans do best. This is atoms trying to understand atoms and trying to understand the right and the wrongs of things. And you're not going to be able to stop people from speculating different things that have happened.
that little area right there is next to the school where she parked her car. Again, it doesn't really matter now, but I had a look around there. And the plan was to put that in another video, but I just never got around to it.
So at this point in time, I'm going to actually pause the video and we're going to swap over to a Google Earth simulation. If this actually works, just give me a second. Let me just see if I can get this to show up. Okay, so what we're going to just do here is quickly just have a rundown of the actual scene, so to speak. Let me just get this to load. Just give me a second. Is this working? I just need to just double check this, that this is showing up. Okay. Let's just leave that there for a second until I can confirm that is actually working. So what we see here is the primary school where Nicola Bulley went to in the morning to take the kids to school. And at this point in time, this red path that you can see on the screen here, this red line, is her actual path that she walked. She left the school. She had a car parked somewhere around here before the school lines. Dropped the kids at school. Made sure the kids got into school, and then she got the dog out of the car, put it on the harness, and she crossed the road and followed this track down here over the iron bridge. She turned right down the footpath alongside the river until she got to what people have considered the caravan park. And at this point, the footpath stops and then converges onto a track, which then becomes a footpath a little later on at this area here. So she walks down here behind this area and goes on to what has been known the lower field, which is also the same location where the bench is, right here. So this is where the bench is located. And she then presumably continued to walk at least maybe 200 meters to what we consider and have been told the lower field, which is the last sighting of her. And we know that for a fact because of a key witness that has said that she definitely saw her in the upper field. What we do not know at this point in time is whether that key witness is absolutely 100%, I'm not saying not truthful, but correct and not mistaken. So hypothetically, at this point, the red line stops. That was her last sighting. And we know that her car was parked back at the school here. So at that point in time, we would only really expect her to take the dog off the harness in this open space here. So she's taken the dog off the harness. Let's just say she took the dog off of the harness. Even back here, it makes no difference. It doesn't matter at this point in time. That dog walker that last saw her continued to walk this path, or the northern path back this way, which goes this way. And there was no other sightings of her after that point. So Nicola could have potentially have walked round this circular track that of the upper field back towards the bench area, which is where her phone and the dog harness was found. And what we do know is that her phone was found there. and she's potentially entered the river at this point in time. So just bringing your attention now to this yellow line. This yellow line here is a potential simulated track of what would happen in a river of those types of currents if you was to fall in there at dead weight. If you was to fall into the river dead or alive within the first hour of that happening, whether you be dead or alive, these are the tracks that you are going to take just by the flow of the water current, if it were strong enough to take you that direction. And what we do have here is the Wyre that we've just seen in the video just a few minutes ago. And that Wyre has a very blunt lip where it sags in the centre because of the weight of the water, which is just natural. And that Wyre is collecting logs and all sorts of debris that is coming downstream from that river. And her body has somewhat passed this point. So based on the fact that there is good water current going through the centre of that Wyre, the body will flow in sort of this direction. Now, every jagged point you see on this path is potentially a point where the body would be caught by riverbanks or debris or anything else that is in the river to prevent you from just having that perfect slipstream flow through the river to the point where she was found. By the time that she was reported missing and the police started the search, there is no chance that she passed this Wyre. There has to have been some sort of serious rainfall, heavy duty water flow, or some other aid to allow her to overcome the lip of this Wyre. Now let's just say hypothetically she never entered the river at the point of the bench where we believe that she entered. But she actually entered at this point, walking back towards her car. Or let's just say some really strange, tragic accident happened where she entered the river next to the bridge. So what we're going to do at this point in time is discount this area here. Anything past this bridge is inexplicable because this is physics. So, just give me a second, guys. Just 1 second. So hypothetically, she has entered the river after the bridge, or just after the Wyre. So between the Wyre and the bridge, she's entered the water. Let's just say for the moment that is what's happened, because we've already sort of proven that it's not even possible to pass that Wyre if she entered the water where her phone and the dog harness was found. So the track of flotation would be as follows. First of all, let's say she had come from the Wyre, loosened from that corner and that meander, would have followed this track and definitely have been found within 24 hours at this point next to the river bridge. She wasn't found. For you to loosen and then continue down the river, you're talking 6 hours between this point just here and this point just here. unless there was a horrendous storm where water flow was exceptionally 200% times stronger than what it normally is. She would have taken a natural flow of current down here and got to this meander and ended up at this point, and most likely would have spent many hours at this point here or this point here, and yet she still wasn't found. By this point in time, we're talking day 2 and day 3 of her being reported missing. So she continues and still doesn't get found at this point here or here. And we're talking another 6 potential hours of the search, of which time we're talking day 4 or 5 of the search. So here we've got quite literally more than a 90-degree meander of the river. And at this point here, because of videos that have been shared on social media, between here and here, we know for a fact that the water is only 2 feet deep. There are videos of people on TikTok, on Facebook or YouTube, of people literally paddling in the river between this point and this point here. And that was within or after the 5th day of Nicola being missing. Nevertheless, she was not found, and her body continued to go down the river. Now here, I need to turn this upside down just so you can see this closely. This ruffled edge of riverbank here is created, man-made, created by the river being dredged and then dug up to the riverbanks as a flood prevention method. Okay? Maybe even up to 20 years ago. But nevertheless, on this Google image, which was only last year, they are still there today. They're not going to just wash away the way you'd expect. I would have expected her to have been found between here and here on maybe the first week. Let's say we're on the 2nd week. We get this meander in the river, which is quite horrendous. This is quite horrendous. So if you look at this curve of the river on multiple different time frames on Google Earth, even back to 1989, you'll notice that it's not changed much. And this riverbank here is actually nothing to do with anything that is floating down the river. Anything that is floating down the river will bypass this very easily, because the flow of current is coming from here straight up to this riverbank here. There is something called Oxbow Lake, and if anybody doesn't understand how an Oxbow Lake is formed, it's simple. For example, from this point of view here, in, let's say, 1,000 years from now, erosion will occur because the current of the water will be pushing against this riverbank right here. And it will push and push and push until this becomes a real severe bend in the river. These buildings won't even exist at that point in time because the river will swallow them. And over time, the river will connect to itself across this field. We're talking hundreds, even of thousands of years. But what I'm trying to point out here is that physics determines where things end up in rivers. And at this point in time, we are 2 weeks after she has been reported missing. And the gruesome, unfortunate detail is that when you are left in water, and if you have drowned, the chances are for the first 10 days you are going to be sunken. And then after the 10th day, unfortunately, because of gases that are produced in decomposition of the body, will make you float, which will allow you to travel much, much further than being sunk into silty waters in a tidal river like this. So she's miraculously still made it past this area, which to me is just unbelievable. Continued down the river and to the point where her body was found. So I've got a pin here, but that pin is not accurate because since I placed that pin, I can tell you her body was found quite literally right here. So it concerns me that she's gone that far in 3 weeks without being found, when we've had a police force that is paid by the taxpayer to operate in a manner that is absolutely going to find and rescue somebody that goes missing in a river, and have technology which is worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds. And yet I feel as though that technology has not been used in the correct way. And then we've got private dive teams that have come in and then said that we can absolutely categorically have said that she's not in the river, and still maintain that today, even after she has been found dead in the river. That's really, really sad. Because it makes me think that we are putting our trust into the wrong place. However, there is a second story that could unfold here, because it's very, very, very unlikely that a dead body is going to make it that far down a river, whether it be tidal. Listen, I don't care whether it's tidal or not. The water flow still remains the same up until the Wyre, okay? And we have been looking for Nicola for 3 weeks. So anybody that wants to say, yes, but the water is tidal, yes, but this, yes, but that. Look, with all due respect, if the water is tidal, with all due respect, if the water is tidal, you can see the tidal water from this Google Maps image right now. Here's the tide. Look at the way salty water meets river water. We've got salty water. And then here we've got the leftover silt where the River Wyre flows into the river, into the sea. At this point of the river is where tidal waters are done. They do not exist. Tidal waters do not affect this river after that point. And she was found, let's just measure it, shall we? Let's just measure it for the sake of it. Where her body was found to where tidal waters make a difference is 2.52 miles. Okay? From the point that we believe that she disappeared was 0.88 miles. A body simply doesn't travel that far down a stream, tidal waters or not, and have obstacles in the way, such as a dam, or what you'd like to call a weir, and then severe meanders in the river, such as 1, 2, 3, we'll rule those out, 4 and 5, 6 times over the space of only 3 weeks. It's impossible, totally impossible. So what we'll do now, whether the family or the police hate me for this or not, the people that are speculating are people that care, and they want to have a clean, idea, and if there is justice to be served in this case, then so be it. It needs to be that way. Where I don't believe that anybody is doing any harm by speculating, unless you're a conspiracy theorist, which is going to end up going to dig up holes in the wood yards and things like that, thinking that she's been buried and murdered. That's ridiculous. What we're doing here is looking at a bit of science. So in this video that I'm going to bring back up in a minute, that I was showing you a few minutes ago, we will see this guy actually physically walk this path. He crosses over this sty in the fence and walks across the actual top of the wall. However, when Nicola was found in the bush just here, okay, we're just going to quickly stroll to that now. I'm going to say one thing. We've had 3 weeks of search teams and police in their hundreds looking for Nicola's body or signs of her. And yet, after 3 weeks of resources, it takes a simple dog walker to walk up this road to this lay-by and then suddenly find her body. So whether they're walking the dog and walking on top of the wall like it's a sidewalk, I have no idea. I mean, personally, yeah, why not? I would probably walk on the top of that wall for the sake of doing it. It's a bit of fun. But what I'm saying is that the resources that have gone into looking for Nicola for 3 weeks have been completely undermined by somebody that just simply is out there walking her dog and then spots a body. Was she really just walking the dog, or was she literally looking under that undergrowth there, or should I say overgrowth, to find that body? I mean, what was it? We'd love to know that, maybe. It just doesn't make any sense, guys. It makes no sense. So I've got a few people on Facebook, a few people on YouTube, and a few people on Twitch having a watch. Also going under that bridge where cars pass every second. She was still not seen from vehicles. Exactly so. And I absolutely guarantee if she even made it past that weir, she probably would have been found directly under that bridge or just next to that bridge, even within the first 14 days of the search. There is no possible way that a body drowned, I mean, even if you haven't physically died from drowning, your body is still going to sink, and if the current is enough to push you over that weir and take you that far, you're still not going to make it just as far as 30 to 40 meters past that bridge until your body has unfortunately gone through that process naturally where it creates gases and you bloat and then continue to float. That bloat and float theory is so important in the timing of the whole case to why to why the police have not found her sooner. I mean, have they been thinking, oh, she must be far down the river, and yet she was just so right under everybody's nose? We have no idea. I said bite me in the lip on this case because of, well, everything. Something is just not right. It's totally not right. There's something not right. Whether it be an investigation that is opened up because of the reason why she was found in the river, or whether it be an investigation into why the police have not done their freaking job correctly, whichever way you want to look at it, this is not over. What I'm thankful for is that she has been found, and the family have got some sort of closure. But the problem is to why this has happened in the first place. So anyway, I'm just going to go back to this video and continue from there.
So, What are people thinking? What are your thoughts? Obviously, we wish the family the best. I can't imagine what it's like to go through that. I really can't.
So this is the exact location where she was pulled out of the river just yesterday. Right here was where the police unfortunately took her body out of the river, which makes me believe that she wasn't in the deep centre part of the river, but she was actually caught up in this overgrowth here, or undergrowth. Is it undergrowth or overgrowth? I'm not too sure. That is growing on the outside of the river into the river, so I'd say it's undergrowth. She was basically inside this, and let's just bear in mind we've had search teams already look at this exact area 3 times in the last 2 weeks, and in fact there has been video interviews taken on the field just here at the top right of the video screen of the professional dive team leader, the bald guy, whatever his name was. He was literally filmed here, and whilst they are video interviewing him, that bush is in the background. I would hate to think that her dead body was there over 2 weeks ago, whilst that video was being filmed of him being interviewed. That is just the most horrendous thought.
Doing these videos, people may think that I don't have sympathy, or I don't have a heart, or a conscience. It's not about that, but there are plenty of other people doing it, probably doing worse, to be fair. The mainstream media are not really helping, and they're on TV, you know. Most of my videos, if not all of them, are helping people, trying to understand the area. It's not all about clicking and views. I've deleted a few videos off the account, to be fair, which were making me money.
Okay, so the video that we're watching right now is actually the guy who he posted a video of her body literally being taken from the river, which has been circled around TikTok and YouTube. However, the video that I'm watching right now is directly off the channel of the same guy who has taken that video. And it appears today that he has removed that video out of sensitivity issues and respect for the family. However, that is a little bit too late because it's already been re-uploaded in multiple different platforms. It's all over TikTok. It's not a graphic video, so to speak. It's very clear to see that the police are taking the body out of the river at that exact location. And it's also sad to see that there are 2 police officers, one a diver and one an actual police officer, struggling to remove her body from the riverbank, and everybody else is stood on the wall, quite literally not giving a toss about their struggle of getting this body out of the water. 2 guys, commended heroes.
And I've deleted them as a respect for the family and for Nicola. So, anyway, just a view of the river there. Do we really think that she was found in there and she was in there the whole time? I don't think so. I think that road right there, conveniently placed, was used. That's my thoughts on that.
Okay, so this guy has got some sort of suspicion to suggest that her body was placed in the river afterwards. So let's just face it. So we would put our entire trust into the police. We're encouraged to do so. We're encouraged to trust the police to be able to do the best job possible to find a body in a river, or a missing person even not in a river, and also have a private dive team which has got a hit rate of probably 8 out of 10 hits to find quite literally a needle in a haystack when it comes to water searches. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys can find a golden tooth in a 40-foot sea, and actually find it. What concerns me is that this area here is of direct access to a track that goes to this caravan. So this house here is actually the office house, I suppose you could call it the office house, but that is actually a massive caravan park if you used to look on Google. What concerns me is that here is a direct access to the river over the wall, but anywhere along this riverbank here is also direct access. So I'm going to just change the subject very, very slightly to a really important thing which has been bothering me for the last sort of 24 hours now, is that the video that we are watching in the background currently of the guy who we've just seen walk across this wall and video the scene, 1 hour after the police had recovered her body, where we see the police vehicles parked up in this little lay-by area just here, and he walks down here and speaks to a police officer and says, my car is parked further down the road. He then obviously turned back on himself. He crossed the river and filmed her body from about this location. He filmed her body from about this location here, looking towards this bush here, which is where he filmed her being pulled out of the water. After the police had left the scene, he walked all the way up the river back to the bench, and then started a new video where he filmed a coincidence, so to speak. The bench has the number 23 engraved on the back of it, and he's talking to local people that knew Nicola about the number 23 on the back of the bench, and it's just so coincidental that it's the 23rd day that she's now suddenly being found in the river. However, after that, he then follows the river path all the way back down to the point here where she's been found. And whilst he's there with his, whether you call them colleagues, friends, or whatever it may be, whoever was with him at that time, stood on the wall just here looking down to the bush. And the guy who took the video literally said, what's that stuck in the tree branches? And he physically walks down to the bush and retrieves some black material, which appears to be a ripped part of Nicola's jacket that she was last sighted in. And that is horrendously scary to think about, because he was holding it in his hands on the video. However, I have then since put a note on that video saying I hope that has been sent to the police. I hope it's been handed in. And since then, I've had no response as of yet. But what is remarkable is that it is the same material as what Nicola was last sighted as wearing. But the problem is that it wasn't in the water. It was in and stuck to the branches of leaves in this bush, higher than water level, which to me indicates that her coat, while still attached to her, were above water level and on that path down to the water. So because I appreciate these facts, I have to firmly believe that she has not entered that water accidentally, but has been possibly and potentially placed there. And because the access to the river is so easy here, and we'll zoom out on Street View for the moment and look at how rural and secluded this place is. It's such a quiet place, this road. I mean, this road is so quiet. I mean, there's not even a main road for 3 to 4. I mean, the main road does go here, but there's no access unless you go through St Michael's on Wyre. To where her body was found, there is no access to that point unless you are going from the west side, which I would presume this is the closest access point, over this little bridge through this little village, all the way through. And I mean, does this even have access? Yes, it does. Or does it? Yes, it goes through there. Small little B roads, but you can eventually find yourself on that little bridge. Follow that road along all the way to the point where her body was found. However, that same access point here was entirely accessible from the bridge just downstream from where she went missing. And I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm pretty sure that there is somewhat CCTV footage of cars entering this point, exiting this point, vice versa. As for this road, I am not entirely sure. I don't believe that anybody knows the exact locations of where the CCTV footage of what we already know and its exact location. Nevertheless, look guys, this is how it is. We believe that she entered the water at this point and she has been found there. So let's just put things into perspective. The police have used words such as extensive search and manpower. Okay? Extensive searches, extensive manpower. Those words have been used by the police in the media, and they have always maintained that they believe that she has entered the river. So be it, she has been found in the river, and it has been confirmed in the last 6 hours that it is Nicola Bulley. Okay, before I end the stream, simple question. Why the hell do taxpayers spend that much money on resources that the police cannot recover and find a body, dead or alive, in this small space? In the massive world that we live in, 3 weeks later, to then recover a dead body out of a river. 3 weeks later, again, professional dive teams still not found her. 3 weeks later, again, after all of the things that poor woman has been through, dead or alive, down this river, again, 3 weeks later, and there's been no results until now. With all due respect, summing up the odds and everything that we have to consider here, it's entirely plausible that her body was placed here only in the last 72 hours. And there has been intelligence to the police that has suggested that her body is in this location. End. There's nothing more I need to say, because that really is all there is I have to say. There's no ifs or buts or whats. The simple fact of the matter is that you don't simply just disappear in the year 2023 without being found pretty damn quick unless something severely strange has happened. For a woman to fall into a river and go downstream, with all due respect, is not. It's not a strange thing, okay? We understand how rivers work, and the general public should understand how the police work and their tactics when it comes to being able to solve issues like this. So we've got only two options. Her body was placed there very, very recently. Or two, she has legitimately been in the river for 3 weeks and ended up at this point to where a dog walker has now spotted her. That is going to cause some serious shit for the police. And they have some serious explaining to do to be able to explain to the general public about, and let's forget the general public, her family and her bloody kids, for God's sake. Why could you not find, when they grow up, why could you not find my mother in a river only 0.8 miles away from where she was reported missing for 3 weeks? The sad thing about this is that even when professional dive teams have searched the river, a professional has even searched this river extensively. They've gone out of their way searching this part of the river just here up until the Wyre. And the professional dive team guy, he's literally said on the news, there's no way she's going to pass over that Wyre. Nevertheless, searches have even gone upstream. Both here, right? No word of a lie. All this way for 15 kilometres upstream and 15 kilometres downstream. 15 kilometres. That's right down to the sea, okay? That's right down to the sea. They've searched the river for Nicola all this time, all the way down to here before the Coast Guard took their job to make sure she'd not made it into the sea. And you're telling me right now that the police and private dive teams cannot find whether a floating or a sunken... Look, a sunken dead body is just simply not going to float downriver. It's sunken. It's going to float 10 days after she's gone missing if she's dead. Full tide, low tide, I don't give a shit. You're not going to pass these meanders in this river. So I'm going to end this stream here. No more speculation. No more speculation. There is no way, absolutely no way, that she has made it 0.8 kilometres down a river whatsoever. So I'm just going to put the Google Earth image up real quick just so people can see that and put it into perspective. No way. Is that going to work? Yeah, there it is. So from right to left, that is 2 kilometres. That's 2,000 metres. You can quite literally run that in 10 minutes if you're healthy. That body has made it all the way to that point without being spotted or seen in 3 weeks. No way. No way. No way. If the police say, God's honest truth, that is what has happened, there needs to be some sort of investigation to why the police are not doing their job properly. It's absolutely impossible. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to end the stream. This isn't about speculation. As I said, the police hate that word, speculation. In fact, just before we leave the video, I'm just going to play this to you guys, because there's something I'm a little bit upset about here. Let me just make sure I've got the right stream here. This is something that was posted on Sky News, and this was regarding a family member that has where are we? So the police have kind of confirmed the body of Nicola Bulley found in the river. Just 1 second, just bear with me. So the mind will not set and rest until something makes sense. Well, I'll tell you what won't make sense is either situation, because the police and the professional dive team will should have, in their professional manner, have absolutely have found her within 3 weeks. And that's really all I have to say about that comment.
It took 24 days to find her, and it was the news nobody wanted to hear. Nicola Bulley, the mum of 2, whose face has been painted across the nation for the last 3 weeks, was indeed the body police recovered from the River Wyre.
We are now able to confirm that yesterday we recovered Nicola Bulley from the River Wyre. Nicola's family have been informed and are of course devastated. Today's development is not the outcome any of us would have wanted.
And a family, heartbroken, said this.
Okay, this is a statement released from Nicola Bulley's family, and as much as I absolutely there are no words to describe what they must be going through. There are no words. However, out of what I believe is anger to what has happened, this is what they've said.
We will never be able to comprehend what Nikki had gone through in her last moments, and that will never leave us.
That is something that we will definitely be able to prove at some point.
We will never forget Nikki. How could we? She was the centre of our world. She was the one who made our lives so special, and nothing will cast a shadow over that.
And then criticism of the media and the way it has reported on the investigation.
Well, it does make sense. We speculate further. It's only human nature to speculate. That is what makes humans so special, in wondering in what is the right or wrong thing. That is what humans do best, and it is totally a normal, natural human response to speculate and wonder about what happens if this, or what has happened, or how can we improve, or how can we change this, and how can we change. That is how human politics works. And for the police to tell us that we are wrong for speculating is absolutely absurd. Conspiracy and speculation, there's a fine line between the two. Conspiracy, outrageous conspiracy, where physical and borderline scientific evidence don't exist, then yes, I appreciate that is totally unappreciated and unaccepted. But there has to be a point in time where there has been so many thousands of crime scenes and cases around the world that have not been solved by the police, but by people on the internet investigating and coming together as one hive mind and coming to a conclusion and actually proving that they're right. So I'm all for the speculation because it allows lines of investigation to open.
It saddens us to think that one day we will have to explain to them that the press and members of the public accuse their dad of wrongdoing, misquoted and vilified friends and family.
Okay, so let's just clear one thing up. The press never ever said that Nicola Bulley's partner was doing anything wrong. However, there has been cases in the past, and I will say more so in the United States of America this has happened, where partners have been interviewed on live TV and literally boldface lied to the cameras after they have either murdered or kidnapped or whatever to their partner, and have got away with it for a long, long time before they've been arrested and convicted of their disappearance and murder. So that is, again, only natural from what we know as human beings to speculate on.
This is absolutely appalling. They have to be held accountable. This cannot happen to another family.
She further said that Sky News and ITV, specifically Sky News and ITV, not BBC or any other news source, are to be held accountable for contacting them directly about developments in the case, which is totally untrue, because there has been points in time in the last 3 weeks where Nicola Bulley's partner and members of the family have been interviewed directly by these media outlets, of where they have disclosed information about Nicola Bulley. For example, about her drinking habits. I mean, that is nobody's business. It's nobody's business whether she liked to have a drink, and it's nobody's business whether she was going through the menopause or not. It's nobody's business. But that has only come to light because that was disclosed to Sky News, and then the police had got hint and word of that being disclosed to Sky News, that the police released it as a public statement. So before you go blaming the media for just doing their job, please respect the fact that the police are at failure.
We tried last night to take in what we had been told in the day, only to have Sky News and ITV making contact with us directly when we expressly asked for privacy.
And that is absolutely not true.
They again have taken it upon themselves to run stories about us, to sell papers and increase their own profits.
Nothing that the media has released has not been physically recorded face to face with either members of the family or friends of the family. And that's a fact. So for that statement to be released is only words of anger to the outcome of what has occurred today.
It is shameful they have acted in this way. Leave us alone now.
Yeah, leave them alone. That's fair enough. Leave them alone. They've got to deal with this, and it's so sad. And I do feel desperately sorry for them. And they are just words of anger. They are just words of anger. But absolutely in no point in time have Sky News or ITV released anything in their stories or news reports which is not already absolutely 100% confirmed, either by the family or by the friends. And that is a fact. Sky News especially, they just don't do that. Sky News have been, in the past, known for speculating again. But I will say 99% of the facts that they say are absolutely verified truth. There's no way that you're going to have somebody televise in legal means on national television anything that is untrue. That is not going to happen. I don't believe that. All the information that was given to Sky News was either given to them by the police or it's been given to them by the family. Not by social media, not by internet sleuths or people trying to be their own private investigators. Absolutely not. They're too clever for that, and they just don't do that.
Their pain wasn't helped by 3 long weeks of extensive searches, including divers, boats scouring the riverbanks and high-tech sonar equipment.
And yet they still didn't find her after 3 weeks. All right.
There was no sign of the 45-year-old. They all failed to locate her. In the end, it was 2 dog walkers that found Nicola. It was along this stretch of river where police retrieved Nicola's body, a mile downstream from where her phone, her dog Willow and its lead were discovered. But finding her isn't the end of this investigation. Police are trying to piece together how and why she ended up here.
Yeah, why did she end up there? After 3 weeks, guys. 3 weeks. And you don't get spotted by the hundreds of people looking for her for 3 weeks. And she still managed to just secretly and invisibly pass everybody that's looking for her to end up 0.8 miles downstream. Just doesn't make sense, guys.
A 10-minute window of Nicola's movements around this bench remains unaccounted for. It could be a mystery that may never be resolved.
So let's just go back.
Unaccounted for. It could.
So I'm just going to pause the video just there. So we're looking at the River Wyre here. So this is quite a wide-ish. That's quite a wide stretch of the part of the river. And that's very close to where she went missing. What I will say there is that personally, I have literally swam across rivers wider than that, such as the River Severn, in the winter months as well, where the water is cold. But I've been prepared to do that, whether it be for fun or... Well, it's only ever been for fun. It's never been accidental. I wouldn't, you know. But putting it into perspective, if he was to fall in the river at that point right there on that video, and the water temperature is maybe 1-2 degrees at sort of 8:30, 9:30 in the morning. I do believe actually it would be very, very difficult to survive it. But it still doesn't explain why nobody else is going to find me for 3 weeks.
Be a mystery that may never be resolved. But Lancashire Police will need to provide answers to the very top of government.
I did have concerns earlier in the week about some of the elements relating to the release of personal information of Nicola Bulley into the public domain.
Well, that doesn't matter now because we've confirmed that it is Nicola Bulley. So the personal information and all that stuff makes no difference. Makes no difference. The point is that they found her in a river and now they need to explain back to the government to why they've not found her sooner than 3 weeks. Again.
I raised those concerns with the Chief Constable. I wasn't wholly satisfied, I have to say, with some of the responses I got.
In the village of St Michael's, the last 3 weeks will have felt like time has stood still. A small, quaint community now dealing with great loss and pain.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, the current in that river is seriously extremely dangerous. Yeah, in some parts, yeah, it really is. But the point is that the part of the river where where the police, and we are working just off what the police and the media have told us, of where she disappeared. It's known for even kids to just go paddling in that area. I mean, and that's in the summer. So this is before the Wyre as well. So at that point before the Wyre, the water has never flooded beyond the level of that Wyre, at least for not 28 years. And it hasn't done that even during this winter. Again, if she went into that water accidentally, or not, a body, dead or alive, will floating or sunken, will simply not pass that Wyre. So again, Nicola did not enter the river near that bench. She entered the river between the Wyre and the bridge, of which she walked over with the dog, which then leads questions to why her phone and the dog harness was found next to the bench.
Inzaman Rashid, Sky News, Lancashire.
So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this stream up now because I don't want to get into the hatred world of people saying, oh, you're speculating, you're doing this, you're doing that, it's all wrong, it's all right, it's all wrong, whatever. I don't care. Just here to point out a few facts about the whole case, and this is a case that I've been sort of following since sort of day 2 after she was reported missing. It's just one of those cases that just doesn't make any sense to me. Even now she's been found, it doesn't give me any satisfaction to how the hell she's just ended up 0.8 miles down a river whilst hundreds of people have been looking for her. And most of the points of that river are quite literally the depth that you can wade through, and quite literally that. So anyway, I'm going to call it quits and